8 years after this testimony was recorded, my father went home to be with the Lord. But he left behind this testimony as a living legacy in the hope that others would hear these words and receive their miracle. Listen with your heart to this testimony of faith and apply it to your own particular need, and ultimately know that if you have faith in Jesus Christ and in his completed work on Calvary's cross, that you too can hold on to your miracle.
By his stripes we are healed, and that means an awful lot to me. Do you believe in miracles? Well, I do. And if this testimony can help one of you and keep you believing, when the whole world is saying no, then it will have been worth it. My miracle is Jesus saved me. Jesus delivered me from alcohol. Jesus healed my body when medical science said they could do no more. Jesus provided finances when they ran out and there weren't any more. And Jesus gave us a new home and changed our lives in a way of living. He is now first in our lives. On July 16th, 1976, they operated on me. I was given a 50-50 chance to survive it. They started the operation at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it wasn't until 6 p.m. that evening it was over with. I was 3 hours in the recovery room where my lungs collapsed, and they finally got them working again. Then I was back in intensive care. And during the operation, they replaced my blood 3 times. What took so long is I changed the procedure of the operation somewhere down the line that they explained it to me, but it just didn't make sense. While this was going on, prayer was going on 24 hours a day. My wife asked the doctor if she should send for my son, and he said yes. So he came home and came up to see us on emergency leave. 2 days after the operation, they checked my pressure by going in through an arm, and it showed that it had dropped. The operation had succeeded in that point. But now Satan started with his continuous attack. On the 22nd, the doctor called my wife and said that my liver was malfunctioning. I had severe jaundice, and the bile count was 20, which in a normal person is 0 to 1. If it gets up any higher than that, you're in trouble. And I also started fluid in the abdominal region, which they call ascites. I started swelling up like you wouldn't believe. My son called a 700 Club while he was home, and Pat Robinson had a word of knowledge for liver disease, that it was being healed. And my son and wife and daughter claimed this, and also a lot of people from the church claimed it at the same time. And on the 27th, Satan was right in there again. The doctor called and said it could go one way or another. I had a 50-50 chance. The bile count now had risen to an unbelievable rate of 31.5, and according to what I've heard, there's no one who survived that yet. Our pastor and his wife were coming over just about every night to see my wife. Even if it was 1 o'clock in the morning, she'd come up every evening to visit me at the hospital, and they'd come over after she got home. Lots of times at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And she remembers this one night they brought a love offering because all our money was gone. And she didn't have any more money even for gas to drive up to see me. But things weren't looking good, and people who were praying were starting to more or less say, well, if it's the Lord's will, that he take me, then it's his will. But my wife didn't quite feel this way, and she just needed assurance from somebody. This particular Jim Barnett that I mentioned earlier, he's really a strong man in the faith. My wife was praying and crying at the same time, and she cried out to the Lord that I need someone. And just then the phone rang. And my son answered it and said that Jim was on the phone, that the Lord had told him to call my wife. And he just said, hang on to the miracle, because he's healed. And that day my bile count started to drop down. There has never been a case known of cirrhosis of the liver being healed. Well, mine is healed.